Hello, everybody. Eric here on a Sunday morning, re recording this because mistakes were made. So I might fly through a bit of this since I'm doing it for the second time. But what I'm doing is showing you a bunch of books that I've got recently, relatively recently. Not everything, because some stuff has already been shelved, and I didn't feel like digging them all out. But there's a bunch of stuff I've gotten at bookstores, online, from subscriptions. And look, I'm willing to admit, I have a problem. I have an addiction. I love books. I love buying them, holding them, reading them. And anytime I have spare cash, which really, if you're not part of the 1%, does anybody have spare cash? But I'm a bad person. I don't always save my money. Instead, I'm spending it on books. And I'm going to share that addiction with you. Here we go again. Because I've already done about half of these books once. But I have to do it again. And we're going to start with book 7 of a series. This is Little Mutilations, which is Dark Tide, book 7. 3 body horror novellas. Jess Landry, Sophia Ashram, and Nadia Vulcan. This is from Crystal Lake Publishing, part of their Dark Tide series. Great cover. I have all the previous books. And so, of course, I had to get book 7. And let's follow that up with book 8, Against the Clock. Tales of Mystery and Suspense. We have Mark Allen Gunnels, Brandon Ford, Shane Nelson. Folks, if you want me to buy your book, make it part of a series that looks interesting, grabs my interest, has at least one author that I want to read. Chances are, I love a good series. I love a nice set of books that look good on the shelf together. So there you go. But the whole series is different themes in each book, 3 novellas in each book by different authors. I don't think there's been any repeat authors. So 24 authors so far. Good stuff. Oh, let's see. I think this was the next. It doesn't really matter what order I do these in. It's not like you saw what I did in the first recording. All right, this is Beleth Station by Brian Smith and Samantha Kolesnik. This is from Clash Books. This is 2 novellas, one by each of the authors, that take place in the same location. I believe they start from the same sort of kernel, and I believe there are crossover characters. I'm a huge fan of both authors, but it was announced on social media not that long ago, as of this recording, that once every existing copy was sold, that would be the end of this book. Something happened. There's some circumstances. I have no idea what they are. And they're not pulling the book. They're just selling off the copies that exist. That's going to be it. Brian Smith was able to get the rights back to his story, and so that will be published just under his name, just his story. And I think he said he's going to add a short story, like a bonus short story. But these copies, what exists. And that's going to be it. So I had to grab it. I was going to grab it anyway, but it sort of lit a fire under me to get it immediately, so that I could have this and read it. All right. So I belong to a couple of book clubs, for lack of a better way to put it, or at least I did. And Ghoulish Books, Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, Max Booth III. Last year, they had a book club subscription, and you just paid for it, and you got your books and some goodies and a membership card that got you a discount on their website. This year, they did a Kickstarter. So if you backed the Kickstarter, depending on the level at which you backed it, you would get ebooks, different things. I backed it at the physical level because I love my physical books. And And because it was a Kickstarter, there were stretch goals for different things. If they reached a certain amount, they started two new magazines, I think. Perpetual Motion Machine and Ghoulish started two new magazines, and so at one stretch goal, the writers would be paid more per word. I think one of the stretch goals had to do with audiobooks, and one of the stretch goals that they didn't quite reach, but they still did it anyway, was they opened a brick and mortar bookstore in Texas, which I have to visit someday. But I backed it. I'm getting my physical copies of the books, and the first two that were delivered were Excrement Mountain by Andrew Hilbert. There's the Ghoulish Books logo. And I'm just going to read the back of it. It says, "This is not a pornography. When a pile of shit from space lands near a renowned filmmaker's set, inspiration strikes. Take a journey up a cosmic mountain of excrement with the director and his film crew as they ascend into madness led only by their own vanity and obsession. This is a nightmare about creation. This is a dream about poop. This is a call to arms against vowels. This is Excrement Mountain." Sounds crazy. I can't wait to dig into it. And then the other book of the first two is Like Real by Shelley Lyons. This is her debut novel. And it says it's a Cronenbergian gene splice of idle hands and how to lose a guy in 10 days. Basically, this guy gets does it say cybernetic? A new tech, experimental new tech prosthesis. But it rips itself off of him, becomes a clone of him, and starts going after the same woman that he's after. So they have to fight, I guess. I don't know. Haven't read it yet. But it sounds great. I love Cronenberg. I love Idle Hands. Sounds like a lot of fun. While we're talking about it, let's just go to the other three. Ghoulish books that I got as part of this whole backing Kickstarter. We have What Happened Was Impossible by E.F. Schrader. And this is sort of it says everyone knows about final girls. What about a final boy? And what if he was the cause of his own problems? I like the angel devil motif on the cover. Definitely another one that I'm looking forward to. Here's a highly anticipated book. This is Conjuring the Witch by Jessica Leonard, author of Antioch, which is a book I loved. I have a t-shirt for Antioch. So I'm very excited to have the new one from Jessica Leonard. And witches, come on, it's going to be good. And then finally, we have this anthology, Bound in Flesh, an anthology of trans body horror, edited by Laura Gislason. I apologize for any mutilation of names. But this is 13 trans and non-binary writers using horror to both explore the darkest depths of the genre and the boundaries of flesh. I like body horror. I like discovering new authors. There are authors in here that I know. There are authors in here I don't know. And I love that cover. And this is an anthology that started some craziness online. Not the anthology itself, just certain stuff. I'm not going to get into it. But another one I'm looking forward to, as I always seem to say. Another book club was Cemetery Dance. Had a paperback book club for the first half of 2023. Right now they're taking orders for the book club for second half. I have to join that one. But these were the last two books that I received as part of that book club. And first we have Coffin Shadows by Mark Steensland and Glenn Krish. I really dig that cover. And I don't recall what this is about, except I'm just glancing at the back cover. I see it has like a 12 years ago, yesterday, today kind of story setup. I don't know, but like that cover. I like generally what Cemetery Dance does. So there you go. Then we have The Massacre at Yellow Hill by C.S. Humble, a horror western. I believe it's vampires. I believe it's part of a series. Very nice looking book. I love a good horror western. So we'll see how it goes. And just a note that these books, even though I got them as part of like the book club kind of thing, a subscription, they're all available. As far as I know, they're all still available from Cemetery Dance or Ghoulish/Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing. So you can check those places out. I think they're available on Amazon. I don't know about that. Support your independent book publishers. All right. Not only do I have an addiction to buying books, I'm easily influenced. So this is These Wounds We Make, a horror collection by Gemma Amor, obviously a short story collection, and previously published as Till the Score is Paid. This second revised edition now includes 2 new tales. So Gemma Amor mentioned this on Twitter, and I immediately ordered it because I'm that easily influenced. I'm a big fan of her work, and I'm a big fan of this cover, and it's got 2 new tales, and I didn't have Till the Score is Paid, so yeah, grabbed it up. I recently reviewed her novel, The Once Yellow House. Fantastic stuff. Check out that review. Big fan. This is one that's been on my Amazon wish list for a while. I see books that interest me or somebody mentions it. I'll look it up on Amazon. I put it on my wish list just to remind me of the book's existence. And this is Ling Hun by, I don't know how to pronounce the name. Her first name is A.I. So is it pronounced I don't know. But Jiyoung is her last name. This is 4 short stories. I love this cover, and I've just heard great things about it. It looks and sounds interesting. It looked and sounded interesting to me, so I snagged it. I just got this like the other day, as of this recording. Along with that, I got Even the Worm Will Turn by Haley Piper. This is The Worm and His Kings, Book 2, from Off Limits Press. Another author I'm a big fan of, Haley Piper. She has a story in that body horror book. She writes great stuff. And Book 2, I'm hoping there's a Book 3. I don't recall if that's ever been mentioned. Sort of an outlier here is Doctor Doom in the Tyrant Skies by David Annandale from Aconite Publishing, part of the Marvel Untold series. David Annandale, this is his 3rd Doctor Doom novel, Doctor Doom versus the Red Skull, because Doctor Doom may be a crazy world-conquering dictator, but he hates fascists just as much as the rest of us. I've read one of the 3 Doctor Doom books by David Annandale, and I really enjoyed that. I've liked everything I've read from Aconite. I get all their... Actually, I can't say this. I don't get all their Marvel books. I would like to, but I fall behind on the Asgardian and the X-Men stuff. I will get it eventually. I do get all their Arkham horror books and their Zombicide books and some of the other stuff, but I am behind on some. But Doctor Doom, The Tyrant Skies. And then we have, let's go to Black Cranes, Tales of Unquiet Women, edited by Lee Murray and Genevieve Flynn, with a foreword by Alma Katsu. This is a Bram Stoker Award winner. And it says on the back, in Black Cranes, Tales of Unquiet Women, Southeast Asian writers of horror both embrace and reject these traditional roles in a unique collection of stories. That's enough. I don't need to read the whole thing. This is from Raw Dog Screaming Press. Did I say that? I don't know, because I've already done this once. But this has been on my radar for a long time, and I finally was able to get a copy. This stack here is going to wait. So, let's do these. Look at these beautiful spines. Judith Sonnet, a fantastic writer of extreme horror, has done this 10-day challenge. This is the third time. And the 10-day challenge, Judith and some other authors have 10 days to write, edit, publish a book. The first challenge was the Earth Versus challenge. It was Judith Sonnet, Candice Nola, Lucas Mangum. I've read and reviewed those 3 books already. You can check those out. The second one was Splatter Crime, and I have those 3 books. I have not read them yet. This is the third of the 10-day challenge, and I really like those spines. And this is Splatter at Sea. So we have Eels, exclamation point, by Judith Sonnet, Killer Eels, good stuff. We also have The World Beneath by Kisto, Healy, and those books go together. Those covers. It's pretty. Then we have Sirens and Seaweed by Candice Nola, Another great cover. Evil Rose Up by Otis Bateman. Another great cover. And Curse of the Samurai by Brian G. Barry. Possibly my favorite cover. All this cover art is done by Christy Aldridge of Grim Poppy. They're beautiful, beautiful books. When I start, I will just read all 5 in a row. Can't wait to have these just sitting on the shelf looking at me with those beautiful colors. Let's see. Then we have The Courage Between Stars by Ness Brown. This is from Tor Nightfire. It has, to me, an alien kind of feel. It's science fiction horror. A crew on a spaceship, something bad on the spaceship with them. I dig everything I've read from Tor Nightfire so far. I don't have everything they've published. There's one author, one series that they're reprinting that I'm not a fan of, so I haven't picked those up. And there's a couple. I think Brahm, the artist, has at least 1, possibly 2 books that they put out that I missed out on. But I try to keep up. And I recently just reviewed the 3 most recent up to this and another one we're going to see. And I'm digging what they're doing. Then we have Project Vampire Killer by Jonathan Rabb, or Rob. I don't know how to say his last name, even though I've interviewed the man. This is from Muzzleland Press. I got a bookmark with it. There's a little sticker on it that says Hierarchies of Blood Official Production Documents. I really, really love Jonathan Rabb's stuff. And it's meta, it's high strange, which is a term that he introduced me to. It's wild. I really love his writing. I love his ideas, and so I believe he said he's taking a hiatus after the release of this book. So I don't know if I should read it right away or just save it, hold on to it. I do have some of his other stuff that I haven't read yet, so it's not like if I read this, then I'm just out of Jonathan Rabb stuff to read. And I am very excited about this, but I don't know. So I haven't decided if I'm going to jump right in or just hold on to it for a while. But Project Vampire Killer, Jonathan Rabb, very, very excited for that. I'm going to have to take a drink because, as I said, this is the second time I've recorded this, and my throat's getting a little dry. And I'm not a professional. Excuse me. All right. We're almost to the point where I'm going to start doing new stuff, but not quite yet. Kolchak the Night Stalker, Hotel of Horrors by Will McDermott from Moonstone. Always been a fan of Kolchak the Night Stalker. Loved the original series. Recently reviewed the book that came out from Moonstone right before this. Kolchak versus Nosferatu, or whatever it was called, something like that. So I'm always happy to get some new Kolchak stuff. All right, this is where things went off the rails. I was in the middle of this book and accidentally stopped recording. And so since I don't have the editing capability and I didn't want to put up 2 videos, I just redid this whole thing. So hopefully I can finish this without having to start over. Bishop, Man vs. Monster by Candice Nola and M. Ennenbach. Uncomfortably dark horror. This is the sequel to Bishop, which is a very, very good monster, creature feature type of story, survivalist type of story by Candice Nola. I've reviewed it, and apparently there's going to be at least 5 books in this series. That's exciting to me because I really dug the first one. This one sounds really good. I want to see where these characters go. Look at that. We made it. Now it's all new. All new recording, anyway. This one is Abnormal Statistics by Max Booth III from Apocalypse Party? Is that what that says? The logo is very wild. Apocalypse Party. Seen that logo? So this is a collection of short stories from Max Booth III. I absolutely love Max Booth III. He and his wife now, they got married relatively recently, as of this recording. They run Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, Ghoulish Books, a new bookstore, Ghoulish Bookstore in Texas. I think Max is a wonderful person. I think he is incredibly entertaining and smart and interesting, and his writing is fantastic. And this is another one. I wish I had all the time to just read, because I want to read all of this stuff immediately. And digging into Max's short stories, I think, is going to be a wild ride. All right, let's see. So now we're going to get into a few... Well, I'm going to rearrange some things here, because these are 2 books that I just got the other day. This is Maeve Fly by C.J. Lead. This is another Tor Nightfire. This is the most recent Tor Nightfire. I really love this cover. And it sounds like a very interesting book. It digs into American Psycho. And Maeve Fly works at the happiest place in the world as every child's favorite ice princess by day. By the neon glow of the Sunset Strip, Maeve haunts the dive bars with a drink in one hand and a book in the other, imitating her misanthropic literary heroes. But then some craziness goes down. This is high up on the list, or the TBR pile. And then the brand new one from S.A. Cosby, All the Sinners Bleed. Another one that is very high up. I may actually read this after. So I have to finish the book I'm currently reading. And then there's another book that must be the next book I read. And then this might be the book after that. Big fan of S.A. Cosby. Reminds me very much of Joe Lansdale, who's one of my favorite authors of all time. And this one just sounds amazing. Crime, racism. Just a fantastic author. Can't wait to dig in. That was a little bumpy. All right, so now we're getting down to brass tacks. We're almost at the end. So this is The Starless Crown by James Rollins. This is a fantasy novel. This is a big, thick, honking fantasy novel. It is Moonfall, Book 1. And James Rollins is an author whom I was a huge fan of early in his career. He was writing these great adventure books, Amazonia, and I can't remember the name, the Subterranean. A lot of like Lost World kind of stuff, but modern day Lost World kind of stories. And then after the success, I'm not saying there's a causal link, but after the success of the Da Vinci Code, it felt like to me that James Rollins was doing Da Vinci Code type stuff after that. And it didn't interest me. So it's been a long time since I've read James Rollins. This was on sale at Walmart, and so I figured I'd give it a try. I've been slowly dipping my toe back into fantasy. He is an author that I really like, so I thought I'd grab this at a very discounted price. Sorry, James. And it's got some great blurbs on the back and the front, so some big honkin' fantasy. We'll see how it goes. Then we have Red London by Alma Katsu, the follow-up to Red Widow, which was a fantastic book. And, of course, she's the author of The Hunger and The Fervor and other things. But I really dug Red Widow, and so I'm looking forward to Red London. Alma Katsu worked for the CIA for many years, worked in the intelligence community. And so it's one of those, she's got insight when she's writing these spy thrillers. Excuse me. All right, so this is the most outlier of the outliers, but I just thought I would share it. I had to adjust myself there on the chair. My legs are falling asleep. But I just wanted to share this. And this is because I think it's cool. And it's indicative of me and the fact that I'm a big child. This is Marvel Value Stamps of Visual History. So way back in the day, Marvel Comics would print these value stamps in the comics. And since back then people weren't thinking about collectability and their portfolios and things, kids would cut these stamps out and you could get this stamp book to put them in. And this reprints all of the pages, the stamps. You can see the Human Torch stamp there, and that's where the picture came from. But you're getting the letters pages, and just, again, it's giving you, or at least giving me, all this great nostalgia for back in the day. There's a bunch of the stamps, and then there's the like a page from the stamp album, the stamp book. After the initial run, then they started doing stamps that you would put together to make a picture. So if you cut them all out and put them on the page, you'd get a picture. There's the inside back cover, inside front cover. I never cut them out because I have always been obsessive about keeping things as pristine as possible. But I remember the stamps, and I know people that specifically collect old comics that have the stamps in them. They're not cutting them out. They're just sort of, people get specific things that they'd like to collect, aside from like the titles and the characters they like. I know somebody that collects, or at least a customer at the comic shop I go to collects any cover that is an homage to the Crisis on Infinite Earths cover with the death of Supergirl, with Superman holding Supergirl's body. That's been copied many times. I think it's specifically that, and not just someone holding a dead body. But that's what they're looking for. And there's someone else that goes to my local comic shop that's looking for all of these comics that had the stamps in them. with the stamps in them. But yeah, I dig this kind of stuff. Really, really do. Now, here we are with the last 8 books. And this really shows, I have to flip them over so I can keep them in order. This really shows what a crazy person I am. Little backstory. There's an author and a publisher, editor, James Aquilone. I think that's how you pronounce his name. A couple of years ago, on Kickstarter, there was a book called Monsters Unleashed. Put together by James Aquilone, published by Crystal Lake Publishing, I believe, and it was all new tales of Universal monsters, or inspired by the Universal monsters. I backed it on Kickstarter, so I have a hardcover of the book, I have a t-shirt, I have an art print, and I think a few other little things, some stickers and stuff. Then they did Shakespeare Unleashed. I backed this, not as at high a level because I didn't, the design for the t-shirt didn't do anything for me. Stuff hasn't arrived yet, but I'm getting the hardback book. I believe I'm getting an art print and maybe some other little goodies. But again, it's horror stories and sonnets and things inspired by Shakespeare. I know Jeff Strand has a story. They did a comic book as well. Jeff Strand's might be in the comic book. And now, James Aquilone, on Kickstarter, currently, as of this recording, I've already backed it, is Dead Detective Society. And it's going to be an anthology of supernatural detective stories. And James Aquilone has a 3-book series. I want to say it's Dead Jack. I have the books. That's going to be in there. Nancy Collins is writing a new Sonia Blue story. So either supernatural detectives or detectives in a supernatural world. And I backed it to get the hardcover, to get an art print, I believe a t-shirt, and there might be some other stuff I don't remember, but I absolutely backed it. Hopefully it'll be out by next year. Kickstarter, there's nothing I've backed on Kickstarter, I believe, that came out when it said it was going to come out. But that's fine. But all of this is to say, one of the stories in Dead Detective Society is going to be a Dan Shamble story by Kevin J. Anderson. And in the... Get to see me all squinty because I have to wipe off my glasses. In the Kickstarter updates, emails that I've received, James Aquilone has mentioned that Kevin J. Anderson has a Kickstarter for a new Dan Shamble book. I am a horribly impatient person when something gets into my brain. And so instead of backing the new Dan Shamble book by Kevin J. Anderson, let's make sure I have that name right. Of course I do. There's a huge amount of tiers for backing the new book. And one of them is you get physical copies of the entire series, including the new one. I didn't want to wait. I'll get the new one when it comes out. I went ahead and ordered the other 8 books all together. So, all of that being said, this is what we have. And I believe these are in order. Hopefully I have these in the right order. We have Death Warmed Over, Kevin J. Anderson. The Cases of Dan Shamble, Zombie P.I. Plus, I gotta say, I love these covers. You're gonna see. So these are, well, he's a zombie. He has a lawyer for a partner, a ghost for a girlfriend. His best friend is a cop. And these are all going to be either full-length novel cases, but with other cases sort of sprinkled in, I think. And then there's at least one, I think 2 short story collections as part of all of this. But we have Death Warmed Over, and we follow that up with Unnatural Acts. Again, look at that beautiful cover. Hair Raising. Working Stiff. Who does this tell me who the cover artist is? Because they need some credit. Dust Jacket hardcover. It says cover design by Miblart. So I don't know. Art director Kevin J. Anderson. So I don't know. Oh, is this going to tell me? Nope. All right, well, let's continue. Slimy Underbelly. That one looks like a lot of fun. Tastes Like Chicken, which includes a bonus short story. And then Double Booked. And finally, Services Rendered. So that's 8 Dan Shamble books. The 9th one coming eventually. I don't remember what it's called. I don't know when it's coming out. I will get it. But that is the first 8 Dan Shamble books with beautiful covers. And let's put them back the way I should have done it to begin with. There we go. That's everything. That's what I am sharing today. As I said, I know I said it the first time I was recording. I don't know if I said it this time, but I believe I did. There are other books that I've gotten recently or relatively recently that have already been shelved, or I've read them and already reviewed them. So this isn't everything, which is a scary, scary thought. But there you have it. A bunch of books that I've picked up. My question for the video, as always with this type of video, what has caught your eye? Which, if any, of these books are of interest to you? Or have you read any of these? I mean, they're all, I think, relatively new, but some people are get to it a little more quickly than I do. So anyway, let me know in the comments below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter at this time, as of this recording, my Twitter is at Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I have for you. So until next time, read more books.